Hey, thank you very much for joining us today. We are revisiting the Mania of WrestleMania Rewatch podcast. I'm Carlos,
And I'm Maria.
and today we will be revisiting WrestleMania 31. Believe it or not, this one did not have a tagline like the other WrestleManias before it, but this WrestleMania is known as the Heist of the Century.
Why is
Well,
it called the heist of the century?
the reason why is because we'll have a Money in the Bank cash in at this WrestleMania.
Exciting. Tell me more.
So Seth Rollins, who is the Money in the Bank winner at this time,
Okay.
will be cashing in. Spoiler alert for you people who are joining us and have not watched this before, whether you're a newer fan like my wife to wrestling, or if you're looking to see where you should be starting to watch a WrestleMania match.
Watch right now.
Yeah, so we'll be going into that.
Revisit with us.
So, yeah, so Seth Rollins will be cashing in his Money in the Bank contract later on in this pay-per-view. So
Exciting.
before we get into that, I'd like to give a little blurb. So this podcast is primarily geared to newer fans who want to be a smart market
Like
trainee, like
myself.
my wife, who had never watched a WrestleMania and wanted to get into wrestling because or becoming a wrestling fan. We were gonna attend WrestleMania 40 earlier this year in Philadelphia.
And we have, and it was
Yeah.
awesome.
So I grew up in my fandom as a WWE fan, just watching WrestleManias, whether it was at renting a video or at a friend's house. So I figured that would probably be the best way to get my wife caught up with any of the storylines.
And boy, have I been catching up.
So without further ado, let's get into breaking down this pay-per-view match.
Let's revisit.
So WrestleMania 31, you have any tidbits?
I do. So WrestleMania 31 is an event, of course, produced. If you do not know or haven't watched this before, you're new to our channel. It's an event that's produced by WWE, and it took place on March 29th of 2015 at the Levi Stadium in San Francisco, Santa Clara, California. So 2015, they say that there were over 60,000, 67,000 people in attendance.
Mm-hmm.
And the buy rate per pay-per-view was 259,000. Imagine that.
And I believe this is the first WrestleMania to be shown on the WWE network.
Really?
Vince has partnered up. I think it was the people that do the. I think it was the MLB network,
Okay.
or before it became the
Major
MLB
League Baseball?
Major League Baseball, correct? They partnered up with their technology and they brought us a video on demand type service, which was known to video as the WWE Network. And their hook line, which you heard at every like Raw, SmackDown, and NXT,
What was
that it was $9.99 a month.
Did it say $9.99 a month?
It stayed $9.99 a month until it went to Peacock.
Ooh. Now it's part of
Now
Peacock.
it's part of Peacock until 2026, if I remember correctly.
Okay. Does Netflix stream?
Netflix will only be streaming Monday Night Raw as of the first of this year.
Okay. So WWE reports that this is the highest grossing WWE event ever, drawing a revenue of $12.6 million.
Okay.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's big dollars.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about that first match?
Yeah. So the first match, well, before we get, I always like to give people kind of a scope of view.
Okay.
I could not find any pictures, but I like and I know you were a fan of the stage here.
I thought it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, you were especially a fan of the circle. That's right there.
Well, I mean, it looks like a belt.
Well, that and the WrestleMania logo that we have. Could I find it? I don't think I got a picture of it, but it's like a play button.
Okay.
And when they interviewed Vince about like the inspiration behind that particular logo, he said since we were in Silicon Valley, that he was inspired to make something that would remind people that it was held in near Silicon Valley. So he kind of made it look where it was kind of like a YouTube play button at the time.
Fun.
So that's why that logo came about.
All fun. I thought the stage was pretty exciting, amazing. The screen behind it lent itself to everybody's introduction, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I thought this was pretty great.
Which
But
was
I'm just curious if you were there live, let us know. How was your view? Did you have a good view? Did you have anything in your obscuring your vision? Is that the word? Obscure.
Yeah. Obstructing?
Obstructing. If you had anything obstructing your vision, let us know. We'd be interested to find out.
Also, if you were this fan that knew that I ruled, send us an email at revisitingthemania@gmail.com. And if this is your first visit to us and you're liking what you're hearing or what you're seeing, please feel free to give us a like and subscribe and share on all of your platforms.
Yeah,
so
we'd
the
appreciate it.
First match, it's a ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship that is currently held by Wade Bad News Barrett.
So this isn't the first ladder match that we've had at WrestleMania, but it was so exciting.
Right. So we have, I already mentioned Bad News Brian. He's the defending champion.
Barrett.
We have Dolph Ziggler.
Yes.
Luke Harper, who is actually getting his own title shot, separate from like being a tag team with Eric Rowan. R-Truth, Dean Ambrose, and yes, Daniel Bryan. And this match goes for 13 minutes and 47-ish seconds.
Yeah, so like I said, we have a 7-man ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. Did you enjoy watching and revisiting this match?
I did. I like a few of the spots here. Like we get this one spot where Dean Ambrose does a tope through the ropes, and then eventually we get John Huber, or also known as Luke Harper at this time in the WWE, doing his own type of suicide dive.
These topes and suicide dives were pretty awesome.
Yeah, we also get this one elbow drop that Dean Ambrose decides to do outside.
Yeah.
And of course, everyone's there to catch him.
You know what I like about a ladder match?
What's that?
When you're climbing to success, it literally means stepping on your competition.
Yeah. And by doing that, when Wade Barrett is trying to redeem his championship, he does these bull hammers to everyone who's stepping in his way.
Bull hammers? He's dropping bows?
He's dropping them bows and trying to reclaim the championship. At one point in time, Dean Ambrose tries to get up in there, but he gets caught up by Luke Harper. And then he gets power bombed. You can't see it here, and I wasn't able to find a picture of it. But Dean Ambrose ends up getting power bombed through a ladder, and he's taking out the rest of the match. So at the end, we ended up getting a psycho knee after Wade Barrett ends up getting rid of John Huber.
It's not your eyes, guys. If you're seeing that photo is a little blurry, it's because it is.
Yeah. And then we get Dolph Ziggler climbing up there, and then they're doing headbutts. Then eventually Daniel Bryan wins.
What a win.
Right. So who were you rooting for out of these, I believe it was 6 competitors that we have here?
7.
7? Okay. Who were you rooting for?
Are we forgetting Stardust?
No. I think I mentioned Stardust.
Oh, okay. What do you think I was rooting for?
I'm going to go where you were rooting for band. Oh, you were on the Yes movement.
I was on
I remember
yes.
when you had seen Wade Barrett for the first time watching over my shoulder.
I am a fan of Bad News Barrett, but for this particular 7-man ladder match, I was definitely rooting for the man himself. And of course, as you said, Daniel Bryan
does not disappoint in this match.
He didn't, but none of them did disappoint. I thought it was a really good match to start off this WrestleMania, and I would definitely advise you, if you're listening or watching, to revisit this match. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, and as for me, I think in the beginning I was like, if I'm thinking back when I was watching this on pay-per-view, I was initially a big Wade Barrett mark.
Okay.
So I was really hoping that he would continue his run.
What company is he with now?
NXT? No, he's still with WWE, and now he's doing color commentary for the
What?
SmackDown crew.
Wow.
So if you were a fan of his voice, you can listen to him do color commentary every Friday nights on Fox.
Wow.
That's no, we get no
We
sponsorship
get no
from them.
sponsorship.
So, but I like that,
Not yet, anyway.
we ended up getting Daniel losing the belt from the previous WrestleMania because of an injury.
Right.
So, Brock now has the title, but they still see that the Yes movement is very hot. So, as much as I looking at this now in the rearview mirror, I understand and I don't have a problem that Daniel Bryan won.
No.
So,
13 minutes,
if you think about
47
it, this is like his 50th WrestleMania in a row,
Mhm.
and he's always been involved in a title match.
Right.
Whether it was the U.S. title that he won, he had the World Heavyweight Championship that he ended up losing to Sheamus like in 7 seconds, and then he got the tag titles the next year. He won the World Heavyweight Champion the year prior,
Right.
and now here we are. He wins the Intercontinental, so he's considered what they say a Grand Slam champion.
Wow.
So
I too am a Grand Slam champion, but that's at IHOP.
or Denny's, they don't have any Grand Slams.
No, is it Denny's? Whoops.
So I am on board with you as far as this match. If you are a newer fan and are looking to get into professional wrestling, I do recommend that you make some 15, maybe 17 minutes out of your day to revisit this ladder match because it is full of great spots that I've highlighted here.
Yeah.
It's full of talent that are still wrestling to this time, whether it's Dolph Ziggler as his government name, Nick Nemeth, Bryan Danielson, also still wrestling, and we have Stardust. But
Does
I think
everybody
you know
know?
him
Does everybody
as
know who
I
Stardust is?
think he goes by some name called the American Nightmare.
Yeah. I was
So
gonna say
Cody
Highlander.
Rhodes, yeah. So R-Truth is still wrestling.
He's awesome.
Dean Ambrose is also still wrestling, but he's also known as John Moxley. So the majority of this crew is still wrestling. So I mean, and what better time to get yourself familiar with all of them?
They're all in great shape. They all were doing great as far as wrestling during this match. And Daniel Bryan proves it's not the size of the beer that matters. It's how well you climb them ladders. So watch it.
Yeah. And then this leads us to our next match, the second match of this card, which is Randy Orton versus Seth Rollins.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, this match goes for 13 minutes.
And 15 seconds.
Yes. And this is kind of like one of those revenge matches type of thing, you know.
Mhm.
Randy was initially with or allied with Seth Rollins. They were part of the Authority. They were handpicked by Triple H and Stephanie. Who were playing the evil, we're gonna put you down, you're not our champion, boss type of authority figure types.
Mhm.
Kind of following in like the footsteps of Vince, only there's two of them, not just one. So that match, I think, was a pretty good match. What do you think? Were you rooting for Randy, or were you finally on board the Seth Rollins train?
Is that a question? I'm always rooting for Legend Killer Randy Orton.
Yeah.
It was RKO-tastic, and I would recommend that you revisit this match.
Yeah, let's go through some of these pictures I pulled for you here. So you get this face-off between Randy and look at it. This is not very often that you get Randy sporting some red trunks. Normally like some black or some leather black, like Triple H type of thing. So
is this a face off or a back off? What?
And then we have the security team that we have with them. Jamie Noble, who is still working in the company as a road agent, like the people who help plan out the matches and things like that with the talent.
AKA J&J Security.
Yeah, and Joey Mercury, who used to be part of the tag team Eminem.
They actually look like they were coming off the set of Mission Impossible. So.
Yeah, so we got those double draping DDTs off the apron. That was a good spot. We also get this other one that we can't have Randy not do it to Seth, and he ends up getting that one in there.
I mean, Seth also looked like he was ready to curb stomp his way into victory. So.
Yeah, and he does try to get that. He does get it one time, but let's get this how hype Randy is right here after hitting that draping DDT to him.
He brought that out of nowhere
Yeah,
express to him.
yeah. So Seth tries to get in. Seth tries to keep trying to hit that curb stomp on him, especially after he did succeed that one time, and then he gets like a near pinfall.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going here, and this is towards the end, and this is when he ends up getting like that. He tries to curb stomp him, and he gets launched into the air, and the timing, and this has become like a highlight now.
Ooh.
Like for that whole year.
Wow.
Like this wasn't like a match of the year worthy, but the way the way Seth launches himself up, and Randy times it just to get him down and do that RKO out of nowhere, quote unquote,
right,
for the pin and the win.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I do that stretch every Thursday, everyone. When we're
And
stretching at work.
in the background, there's that logo that we have right there that I mentioned to you. That's kind of like YouTube-like.
That throwback to the YouTube play button.
Yeah. So what do you think? Or did you like the way this match went? I know that you're happy that Randy Orton wins. So.
Well, aside from the security guards looking like a few NPCs, part of a video game, I thought the match was pretty cool. I am definitely a fan of Randy Orton's wrestling. Both of these gentlemen are still wrestling today. I thought it was a good match. Thought they did great in the ring, and it was pretty cool. I'd revisit.
You would revisit? Would you recommend newer fans to also revisit this match?
I would recommend that you revisit this match with us.
And as for me, I would actually recommend that if you do, for some reason, want to watch this match, just watch like the last 5 minutes of this match, especially like the last 3 minutes, because that's when we get that spot where Seth is trying to hit that particular curb stomp move that he can no longer do just due to all the concussions people were getting.
Concussed.
Yeah.
Concussions, no bueno.
Yeah, it ends up being a great highlight. This match, of course, was not like match of the year worthy or anything like that on any list from what I saw.
Take care of your head, people.
Yeah.
Don't get concussions.
Yeah. So I was kind of rooting for Seth Rollins at this time. I've never been a Randy mark.
Shame.
Not to say that he's not a good worker or anything like that. He just there's just nothing more me where I'm like, yes, Randy Orton, you're him, you're that guy.
He is him. He is I.
So I was kind of disappointed in it with the matchup, but I understand because this whole pay-per-view, you might hear me if you're watching and you get all the way through this whole pay-per-view event rewatch of this pay-per-view event with us. You'll probably hear me say this one more time. I feel like Randy should have probably done Seth a solid and lost. Put him over since he's the older one, but
look at their trajectory now.
Yeah, it kind of like it's all a wash as it ends up being later on in their careers. So I wasn't sure how much at that point in time where I was watching. I wasn't sure how far Randy would continue working, and Seth was the newer talent he was working. So that's why I had felt this way. But not looking at it now, it's like revisiting it with you. I'm like, this match, like besides the spot, there's nothing else. Like it doesn't have any type of implications later on.
That's victorious.
Yeah. So that's why I don't recommend anyone to revisit.
So Randy Orton walks away victorious, adding another epic RKO to his highlight reel. I'd recommend Carlos is telling you to watch the last few minutes of this match. And with that,
we get to a match
made in heaven.
No, that was the marriage of Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth.
Oh, rest in peace, both of you. Two of our favorites.
Who we end up getting later on in this pay-per-view inducted.
Who we end up dressing as during Halloween, maybe a year or 2 years ago.
I think it was 2 years ago. But we're digressing on a tangent, and we get into Triple H versus Sting.
Who we had the opportunity to meet this past year
at WrestleCon.
Yes.
So this match, it goes for
18 minutes and 36 seconds.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into these entrances. So we have this entrance from Sting, where we get like these traditional like drums and everything,
I'm
Japanese and everything inspired,
totally impressed
which
by
is
this
kind of
introduction.
different from like
His
how
previous
his previous one is just like a guitar riff
Ooh.
and you hear bells and it's kind of like once in a while like in WCW you had like a Metallica riff I think once in a while coming in
Okay.
for to introduce things. So to have this, you're like, whoa, this is Sting's first match back and we get this type of entrance.
Well, at this point, he was doing how well?
What do you mean?
Like, how well was he doing in WWE?
He had just appeared at Survivor Series and that's in November, so we're looking at he had just making his first appearance at the company for 5 months, but this is like his official match.
Mm-hmm.
His first match. He would just make sporadic appearances, kind of like a ghost that's haunting Stephanie and the rest of the authority,
Ooh.
trying to like get them up, like give them their comeuppance type of thing.
Okay.
So in this match, not to be outdone because Hunter always likes to make sure that he gets the best of the best entrances. We get this tie-in.
That just makes me laugh just looking at it.
Yeah, we get this tie-in of the Terminator Genesis movie, and boy, they probably regret that
You
one
were
now
impressed.
looking back into it. I was not impressed.
You loved
I mean,
it.
I was impressed
Did
with
you
like how they had the T800s here in the background, but
Reminiscent of a showdown of a 90s action movie.
but this getup that Hunter has,
Was
no,
terrible.
it was very
Okay, so
terrible.
I love everything about this introduction for Hunter. Very different from the last WrestleMania that we saw,
Hmm.
where I was, I think, equally as impressed with his intro. So let's just take a look at all the optics here. It looks pretty awesome. Everything looks pretty cool, with the exception of the gear that he is wearing. It looks like a nightmare. I'm not sure what creative approved this, but it looks really crazy.
Well, you know, it just had to be Hunter. Hunter has the last word on his
Is that what it is?
costume. So,
But if you loved this costume or getup or this wrestling garb, you let us know. I would definitely be interested and curious to find out. So with that, well, here goes the madness.
yeah. So this is your first. I don't think you've ever seen a Sting match, right?
No.
So this is your first introduction to Sting. You see Sting come out to this entrance right here.
Yes.
And what did you think? Like, were you still? Because I know that I think it was either WrestleMania 30 or 29. You had actually had a match where you were rooting for Hunter.
Yeah.
So is that still the thing here where
Well, this
you're
is hard because since I've met Sting and I saw how just such a lovely person he is, I was rooting for Sting during this match.
okay?
Yeah, so that's my bias, just so everybody knows.
And for me, I was actually rooting for Triple H because
No.
I had not seen a lot of matches with Sting.
Okay.
So at this point in time, I was like not a very into Sting fan. I was not a Stinger. That's what they
Is
would
that
call
what they're
their
called?
fans. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I was like never like when the surfer Sting guy with the red tail and everything like that, the beach blonde. That's the first thing I saw. The first Sting I saw. So I was like, no, I'm not having this.
Interesting.
And then when he came back in WCW, when the NWO was there, he showed up, and then he started having like that face paint, like the crow.
And he looks really cool.
Yeah, and I was like, no, I'm still not having it. So
this match was pretty nostalgic, and we're gonna keep on getting into this match, but I would recommend that you revisit it, just like you were talking about NWO. Like if this match couldn't get any crazier, we get to see the opportunity, or we have the opportunity to see NWO and the Generation X.
yeah, and I like the way that they do this. That we get the stare down between these two guys as Triple H is doing his entrance where he spits out his water.
Yeah.
But I like this whole thing where you have kind of like two veterans.
Mm-hmm.
Sting has been doing it a little bit longer because he's been doing it I think since like the late 70s.
Yeah.
And Hunter just Hunter's about a little bit younger, but not that much younger than
Right.
Sting. Like Sting is 56 years old in this match, and Hunter's in like his mid 40s.
He just retired this past year, right?
He did just retire, yeah, in 2023.
2023
At the
is
end
when
of
he retired.
2023, AEW had a pay-per-view, and he ended up winning his last match with Darby Allin. It was a tag team match. They were the tag team champions,
Wow.
and they ended up winning, and they vacated the title. So,
So like watching your uncles fight at a family reunion. If your uncles were wrestling icons with a flair for dramatics, we get to see them wrestle. So were you impressed with this match?
I was kind of impressed, especially like with this particular spot where, like you mentioned, that Degeneration X gets involved. We get these little cameos.
Yes.
So we get Billy Gunn, who's still wrestling, Sean Waltman, X Pac, he's no longer wrestling, and the Road Dogg, right? And they're doing their thing. And Sting is like, I'm not gonna have it. And he cuts him off at the pass and tries and does a crossbody splash from the top turnbuckle.
Right.
And then we get Nash and X Pac fighting here because the NWO comes to back up their own.
Ooh.
Because Sting was part of the NWO at the end of like that run where he was part of the Wolfpack, and then they end up getting the Wolfpack and the black and white, which is the colors we see now, together when Kevin Nash ended up giving the title to Hulk Hogan by losing.
Right.
To remember that jab poke doom that I told you about, where no. And then at the end, unfortunately, it is all for naught as Triple H ends up winning and beating Sting. Now, what did you think about this?
The win?
And,
the pin and the win?
The pin and the win
Triple
by
H,
Hunter.
I mean, he lands a sledgehammer shot and he secures the pin and the win and is victorious. I was kind of upset. I was rooting for Sting to win. So I was kind of surprised that Triple H was able to secure this victory. It was very nostalgic. Would I recommend that you watch it? Yes, for the nostalgia. But I was disappointed that Sting didn't win. What about you?
I am also on the same boat as, like, I know I had mentioned that I'm a Triple H mark and things like that, but to me, I'm like, we waited. This is like Sting's first ever WWF WWE match.
Right.
He had never been in the company. And now we're at WrestleMania 31. So ever since a WrestleMania, there's been 30 WrestleManias without Sting. This is his first match.
This is his debut.
This is his debut in WWE ring.
Yeah.
This is an icon. That's like one of his nicknames, and like when they introduce him is the icon, and they have him lose. So even though I wasn't a Sting mark, I knew that him losing to Triple H was not a good thing.
Right.
I have seen like other videos where Sting has like come to grips where he says the same thing, where he's like, this was my first match and I love it. It's my first WrestleMania.
Right.
Like, you guys may not agree with it, but what a hell of an introduction for me to have.
That is true.
So
you're definitely right about that. And at the end, after the dust settles, they shake hands.
Yeah, so I would definitely recommend that you guys go back and watch this match, just because you have two veteran guys. As much as I don't like the finale, we still have two veteran guys going at it. They're telling the story. Not only do we tell the story of the long-awaited debut of Sting, but we also get like kind of like a little bit of the closure to the Monday Night Wars, because you have DX, the prime premier stable during the Attitude Era, facing off with the NWO, who's a little bit older, will take a little bit longer to get there, but we get that face off that we always wanted as a fan. So give me.
So with that, we're going to revisit an awesome match, which may have been more of a bathroom break for you. AJ Lee and Paige. And if you haven't watched our movie review, please do. We just published that, I want to say, what was it, like 1 to 2 weeks ago? So AJ Lee and Paige go against the Bella Twins, Brie Bella and Nikki Bella. This match goes on for 6 minutes and 42 seconds. And it's It's a pretty awesome match. I would revisit this match because the wrestling is pretty awesome. I am a fan of AJ Lee. I am also a fan of Paige. I am a fan of the Bella Twins. I don't know if you all have had the opportunity to watch some of the reality TV, but I was caught up in that, and I was looking forward to seeing them in this WrestleMania. But again, rooting for AJ Lee and Paige. So WrestleMania 31, we see good teamwork from both sides and a little bit of craziness. Even I like that they're able to take down even the most synchronized of sisters. The Bellas came in with their usual twin magic, but AJ and Paige were ready with their own brand of like cool, a little wild, a little weird, which was pretty awesome for me. And after some serious back and forth action, the tide turns when AJ locks in a Black Widow on Nikki. So Nikki didn't have a choice but to tap out faster than you can say total divas. Sorry, a little bit corny, but very true. AJ and Paige, they walk away victorious, while the Bellas were left wondering if they'd accidentally signed up um, for the for what kind of match. I don't know if they thought that they would be victorious during this match, but I was definitely happy to see Paige and AJ Lee. They're in their prime. They look great wrestling. They're doing a wonderful job. They're very athletic. All their moves are very cool. Victory by submission with the side of sass, maybe a little bit of sisterhood, and I would say watch it. I'm wondering when Carlos gets back, we'll ask him if he'd revisit this match. I think maybe for some, this was time for a bathroom break. But with that, I'd say watch it. And with that, that takes us into the next televised match, which is match number 5 with John Cena. And he wrestled with no other than Rusev with Lana. So this was a singles match for the WWE United States Championship. This match went on for 14 minutes and 31 seconds. And if you have not, I was actually able to catch up with a show, the Shannon Sharp Show, where he interviews John Cena. And if you haven't had a chance to watch it, I would definitely recommend that you do watch it. It was a really great watch. And I think the interview itself was over an hour. We get to see an inside look into John Cena. So we know that he is a wrestler and we know that he's an actor, and he's definitely played in a variety of movies. Also, these small spots that he's played in, but overall, he's really done well and he's really successful. So if you have a chance and opportunity, you should definitely catch that interview. I was really impressed with all the things he was talking about, the way he talked about the way he was raised and growing up. I'm talking about John Cena
Oh,
on
okay.
the Shannon Sharp show and how good of a watch it was. So if you have a chance, watch it. And just to throw back, I did discuss the Bella Twins.
Okay.
So just for those listening and those watching, would you recommend it?
No, I would not recommend this match.
That's what I said.
I
I
was
thought it
like,
would be more of a bathroom break for you. It was a revisit for me.
it was a revisit for you. Okay. Sure you'll be able to tell me a little bit later on why. But we can get into it. So like Nikki is coming out aggressive because now she's the women's champion.
Right.
She's the Divas champion, actually. That's what
Right.
it's called. But this whole thing, just just a combination in the tag match of Paige and AJ Lee, the former Divas champions, and how they lost the belt. You know, they could never decide on who should go for the title. And I think the way this is going is because maybe they were trying to, like Vince and the WWE were trying to resign AJ.
Okay.
But with the issues that AJ's husband, who we know is Phil,
Mm-hmm.
was having with the company, and then AJ Lee was also having like injury issues
Okay.
that she had to. I think she actually had won the belt once and then vacated it,
Right.
and then I think that's when Nikki wins. Um, one of the times because they end up training like the belt between them three, Nikki, Paige, and AJ, for like this whole year.
Okay.
So, and then and then we have Brie, who Brie is known more for like injuring people,
Okay.
but this is one of the things where she actually does correctly. She pretty much does this drop kick, and Soraya's ready for her, and she's ready to take that bump. But I heard you mention that the whole thing with John Cena. This is like actually when Nikki is kind of getting like a little bit better as a wrestler.
Right.
So Nikki's going out here trying to do like actual moves. We have this thing called the rack attack that she actually
But you need
does
to be
pretty
you need
good.
to be pretty strong in order to lift.
Yeah, and we know that John Cena likes to lift. So if anything is that Nicole's picking up
It's how to
here,
lift.
is how to lift. But they in this match you get like the perfect psychology, and I can see why you recommended this match because like the match psychology is there. You have these two women, they're twins, they know what to do. Supposedly they've been doing it since the womb or whatever, from what the King and everyone else is trying to work here. But they do the classic. The heels are gonna cut off one particular face, which is Paige. They're not gonna get AJ Lee involved until Paige starts fighting back, and she's gonna make that one tag, and then eventually we get the hot tag with AJ, and she's coming out fighting, and so much that she ends up getting the tap out here where she's putting in her Black Widow
Right.
uh, finisher, and she ends up getting the win
Yeah.
for her team. And this is like the second to last match she has. After this, they have one more kind of rematch, same tag team match, the Bellas versus AJ and Paige on the following Monday Night Raw
Right.
after Mania,
Mhm.
and then after that she retired, and we haven't heard or seen her since. Unless
Dun,
you
dun,
are a
dun.
fan of Heels, she was in the second season of Heels
She was.
as one of the extra talent that they get in here to do one of their pay-per-views.
So revisit for me, not a revisit for you.
No, because there's like plenty of matches that you can revisit that involves AJ Lee. That involves I can't think of one for Nikki, but with Paige, you have that whole like not only feud that she ends up having with like the four horsewomen, whether it's Charlotte and things like that,
Mm-hmm.
but she still has a great career ahead of her. So, do I recommend this match to a newer fan to revisit? No.
No. Do you recommend the next match
Well, we have
to?
to get to the next
Oh, the
thing
Hall
that
of
we have,
Fame.
the Hall of Fame class of 2015. And this class, we end up getting various wrestlers that you may know, some that you may not know.
Some that you may love.
Yeah, so we end up getting the first one here on the left is Rikishi, who is no, we've seen him in a WrestleMania before.
Yeah, I'm definitely a fan of
Definitely
Rikishi.
Rikishi as the Sultan, and when he first appeared,
Mm-hmm.
and then we end up getting him later on in his career.
Right.
And then we get Alundra Blaze, who you know, I believe that was from WrestleMania 10.
Right.
And she comes back, and during her speech, she ends up bringing back the title that she dumped when she left WWF.
Ooh.
When she joined WCW, she dumped the women's championship in a trash can.
Wow.
And during her speech at the Hall of Fame, she ends up dragging it back out and saying that she didn't get rid of it after all.
Touche.
We got the Bushwhackers in here.
Yeah.
Luke and Butch, where one of them is in a very bad shape, and I believe is no longer with us. I believe that's Luke.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Lanny Poffo, brother of Randy Poffo, who's also known as Randy Macho Man Savage, getting his nod into the Hall of Fame class. In the middle, We do not see him because he comes out a little bit, and you don't see his name there. But we have the Governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Which I don't know if you know this, and maybe you do, but I'm actually a huge fan of him.
Yeah, I am aware that you are a big fan of Arnold
I
Schwarzenegger.
listened to a few of his audiobooks. If you have not followed him on Twitter, follow him on Twitter. We also know that he was the governor of California, but look him up if you are not familiar with his trajectory. As a child, he comes from very humble beginnings. And if there's anyone to say that, the American dream, he's lived it, he's living it, and he's worked his way, from
Painting houses, doing roofs.
painting houses, doing roofs. Some of my favorite stories are of him joining the gym, and then of the other people that are in the gym giving him basic things like dishes and stuff like that to help him along. So I just love his story. Uh, I know the affair and all that stuff. I hear you.
You hear the internet?
I hear the internet. I can appreciate the whole situation. But outside of that, as far as the person that he is, I definitely appreciate his story. So definitely a big fan of him.
Yeah, and then further down here we have Larry Zbyszko, that was involved into the WWE Hall of Fame. Tatsumi Fujinami.
I'm unfamiliar with.
Yeah, I'm also unfamiliar with, and he was a big star in Japan, obviously.
Okay.
And then we have here Ricky the Dragon Steamboat,
which can still, during his last wrestling days, could still go.
Yeah. So
big fans.
Yeah, but the other one,
many of these Hall of Famers.
I'm sorry, the other one that was, I'm got a little bit ahead of my notes, but the other guy that's in here is the father of Connor, the Crusher. I'm gonna butcher his name, but we're not gonna go ahead and go in there.
But who did Rikishi come out with?
Rikishi came out with
the Usos.
Yes. When he did his WWE speech, right?
Yeah, for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, for the Hall of Fame.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, and then they did a dance, and they're his kids. They're his sons. Yeah, along with Solo Sikoa. So, but the guy who's here is the father of Connor, who we have this thing called Connor's Cure, which is a charity foundation that Triple H and Stephanie had created to do a nonprofit organization for pediatric cancer research. And this particular one is, I'm probably going to butcher it, but it's like a medulla colostoma or something like along those lines. Medulla glioblastoma, which is a rare brain and spinal cord tumor, which Connor, the one they had last year, highlighted, ended up passing.
Oh, wow.
And he receives the Warrior Award. So that's why his father's up there. Sorry. Ricky the Dragon was in this pay-per-view, but not in this picture. After Daniel Bryan had won the Intercontinental Champion, we had like a vignette of superstars who had won it before. So that's where I had got my circuits crossed on that.
Yeah, it's another great Hall of Fame.
Where you mostly knew everybody.
Yes.
And with that,
Macho Man impression.
I can't do it.
No.
Well, and with that, we move on to the next match on the card.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. There you go. So we have Rusev versus John Cena. He's back, John Cena, for the United States Championship.
You can't see him?
No, so who was Rusev fighting?
Who was he fighting?
This match goes for 14 minutes and 31 seconds. Maria, I know you're a fan of John Cena.
Yes.
Were you still rooting for him, or were you going for Rusev?
I am rooting for John Cena to this day. He was talking about retiring, and I'm looking forward to his retirement because he's put in the time. And I just went off on a tangent earlier about John Cena.
Yeah, you had to vamp because I had to go and take care of
Some business.
some business.
Yeah. So I was definitely rooting for John Cena. And what did you think about this match?
I was not rooting for John Cena, just like the rest of the crowd. If you watch this pay-per-view back and you wanted
Wow.
to revisit this match, and if you're looking into doing that, you'll hear what I think the crowds have been doing for like the past 3 or 4 pay-per-views
Hmm.
since
We
John
were
Cena
seeing John Cena talk.
has been facing off with The Rock on those back-to-back WrestleManias 28 and 29.
John Cena, much like myself, is a fan of hip hop.
Yeah. So yeah, I was rooting for John Cena, and I mean, I was not rooting for John Cena. I was
What?
rooting for Rusev.
I think you said it right.
No, and even looking back in here, I was still a fan of Rusev. Like he was like undefeated in this whole main event, like a main roster run of the WW. Like mm, by main roster, I mean like because sometimes people run in through like NXT and they have losses here and there.
Okay.
That's what I mean by like his main roster run.
Okay.
Up to this point, he had suffered no defeats. He is the United States
We're
champion.
talking about John Cena.
We're talking about Rusev. So, and like obviously, Vince felt the same way of pushing Rusev. Like he gets Rusev a tank to come out here with, and let me
John
show.
Cena has an album.
He's right here. Look at him. He's right in this tank. Yes, he's out here with the Russian flag, but it's not like the traditional Russian flag that we know, where it's like red, yellow yellow stars,
He
and
saved that for his wrestling outfit.
yeah,
His wrestling trunks.
yeah. So we have that out there, and we have like this John Cena match that we have. We have another entrance, but it's not like one of those like memorable entrances unless you think about how long this is. This entrance is like video. It starts off with Ronald Reagan doing a speech, and this goes for like 6 minutes.
The
Like
introduction.
the introduction alone. This match does not get started when you get like the Rusev introduction.
Well, he had to come in on the tank, right?
Yeah, but I'm just saying it's like it takes 12 minutes before the match gets started from the Rusev entrance to the John Cena entrance. So if you do not want to watch these entrances, which I think you should at least watch the Rusev one because it's pretty cool. Don't watch the John Cena video unless you're like really hard up for like America. Then you can watch that one. If there's like anything that Vince does correctly is how to put together a package of American patriotism.
Let's eat the taters, not the haters. So he comes out with his very glamorous spouse, Lana.
Yes. What do you have? Oh, that they.
She looked great. She looked like she popped out of a magazine.
Well, yeah, she is a model.
Oh, is she?
She was in. She's an actress, but like in very limited movies. She has been
launched her shoe too.
And she launches her shoe. We'll get to that, but she was in those. What are those movies where they sing a cappella with that one girl?
I'm not quite sure, but John Cena comes out ready to defend America, apple pie, and everything in between. He didn't have a tank, but with the power of hustle, loyalty, and respect on his side, who needs one?
And those movies were called Pitch Perfect. Pitch Perfect were the name of those movies. So with the yeah, like this lockup where Rusev is coming out strong. And he's taking it to John Cena. John Cena does not know what's coming for him.
It's Rusev.
And it's Rusev. Oh, I wanted to point out this one because in the beginning we get the announcer here. She's called Eden, but this is Brandy Rhodes. Well, she's not Rhodes at this time. I don't think they're married yet. But she ends up the spouse of Cody Rhodes.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is 2015.
This is 2015, yes.
We're taking you back in a time machine, much like the show that we're watching.
Yeah. So now I skipped the. So Rusev also coming out on the offensive and hits him, and he's out here wrestling barefoot. So
as one does.
Yeah, as
when
one
they can't
does.
Find shoes
when they
fit.
can't find shoes that. Or in some terms, like when it came to Velvet McIntyre and
Or like
the guy,
my dad said earlier, you gotta let them pause, breathe.
yeah,
Oh,
or
I don't know why you call this
yeah,
feet pause.
Kevin Von Erich was still alive.
Oh
Where
yeah.
you had these wrestlers. Well, one, I think Velvet said that even though she had her shoes stolen as a prank,
Hmm.
and she just went out there and wrestled barefoot.
It's
She
like
said
that
that,
guy that ran where they stole his shoes and he wore one big one little one, and he won the race.
yeah,
That's how you do
but
it, guys.
yeah,
Somebody steals
Velvet's
your
like
shoe, you go barefoot.
she went out there and wrestled, and that's rumored that that also happened to Kevin Von Erich,
Oh
and they just never
wow.
wanted to admit it. So he's like, yeah, I just prefer wrestling barefoot.
That's interesting.
So here we get the Rusev finally getting John Cena this accolade.
Okay. Russo's trying to crush him like a can of soda.
There's Lana, who Vince had her model her look after Brigitte Nelson.
Uh rest in peace.
No, Brigitte's
Oh,
still
she's still
alive.
alive. Okay.
Yeah,
Wow, she's lived a life.
yeah. So Brigitte is the inspiration for this from Rocky Four. So that's the whole thing here.
Very.
Yeah. So once John Cena gets control, now he starts putting Rusev and the STF, and this is where Lana starts to try to pay her dues as a valet,
Hmm.
and she starts throwing her shoe at John Cena, which eventually gets their attention. And while John Cena is distracted, Rusev tries to take advantage, and eventually it backfires,
Ooh.
and
She
Rusev
takes a
bumps
tumble.
off, and she takes a tumble here, and that leads to AA, which
An attitude adjustment.
yeah, Rusev ends up losing, and John Cena is the United States champion.
1, 2, 3.
So would you recommend that people go back and revisit this match, or
Would I recommend that everyone take a look back and watch one of the most patriotic people of the United States that ever wore jorts?
would you?
Yes, watch
Oh,
it.
okay. As for me, I have an issue with this particular match, just like every John Cena match that I've had an issue with to this point. It's just you get more of the same thing. It's like a paint by numbers type of thing where John
Wow.
Cena, he has his moves. John Cena is down. Will John Cena ever come back? And he makes his comeback. It's like plug and play type of thing.
Mm.
And
So,
the thing I didn't like, and a lot of like wrestling articles or like wrestling like message boards and things like this. Like
mhm.
without Rusev losing this match, we wouldn't get more classic matches that John Cena has on SmackDown as he's having like this open challenge.
Like with the.
Well, I didn't take a look at
Oh,
it because
sorry
I
about
wasn't
that.
watching SmackDown, but like apparently we get like this whole run where John Cena is like the greatest United States champion and he brings prestige back to this title.
Wow.
But as for me, just considering like the way Rusev's career goes,
Hmm.
I kind of would have liked for him to win, but he does end up getting more like chances at a heavyweight championship title.
After this.
So like, but at the time I wanted Rusev to win, but like, does it do anything to me where it makes this match for me to go out and recommend this match?
Hmm.
No,
You wouldn't
like
recommend
I would
it.
not recommend this match.
You would not recommend it. I would say watch it.
Yeah.
14 minutes, 31 seconds. We really only have 7 matches during this WrestleMania. And you can't see me.
Yeah,
But if you can hear me, revisit.
yeah, and with this we get like a little vignette or like a little thing here as we're going and cruising down here.
This is pretty long to me.
Yeah, so Stephanie and Hunter come out here to give us the attendance. And the attendance number here, which is according to them 76,976 people.
Hmm.
Yeah, and they look very pleased with themselves, and they're out here, you know, patting themselves on the back and saying how, Triple H is over there bragging about how he beat Sting and how he's
Mm.
the superior wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
And we did not expect it, and I don't think any of the rumor mill did too. And we got an appearance by The Rock. The Rock is back. This is what his fourth WrestleMania in a row
You were
that he
excited
appears.
to see his appearance.
Yes, I'm sure you were.
I was, but then it got boring.
It did get a little bit long. This segment goes for like 20 something minutes.
20 minutes too long.
Yeah. So, but and this is all kind of, I believe, just um like a preview or a feeler by
Yeah.
Vince to see if we can do anything with this particular lady, Ronda
Ronda
Rousey, who's the UFC
champion?
women's bantamweight, I believe.
Okay.
Uh, and right here, we actually have a current talent that's wrestling here, still with the company. She's right there in between The Rock and Ronda. Her name is Shayna Baszler.
Hmm.
So she is still doing it. If you happen to rewatch this match throughout the times here, I think it's like
In the audience?
in the audience 3 or 4 times when they cut to Ronda, she actually has her version of the four horsewomen. It's not only Shayna Baszler that you see there, but you see other women that she ends up coming up with. Her name is Jessamine Duke, and then the other one is Marina Shafrir.
Fun.
So we don't see them in this picture, but in the end, Rhonda gets called up because Stephanie is insulting The Rock and
Right.
making some things, and The Rock's like, "Well, I'm not one that's gonna
He's like, you
hit a
don't own
woman."
me. You remember when they said that they own the crowd?
Yeah,
He's like, you don't own us. You definitely don't own me.
yeah, and
And
he
that was the
said
most
that,
exciting part of this 20 minutes.
yeah, he said that he couldn't hit a woman, but he had a friend in the audience that would, and that's when he comes to go get Rhonda.
And Ronda went.
Yeah, Rhonda comes out there, and Triple H says that The Rock shouldn't say another word, and he's like, you know what, you're right. I'm not gonna say another word. And he begins to lay the smackdown on Triple H. Triple H takes a couple of punches, and then while he's stumbling and trying to get back out, after Ronda takes care of Stephanie, Paul comes back out and he takes a judo takedown.
Wow.
Yeah, and props for you. Look at the look on the Rock's face
He
right
looks
there.
startled.
He looked startled that Ronda was actually able to pull that off, and that Hunter actually took that bump.
Go on, girl.
And with that, they end up getting the Authority out of there.
Goodbye, Authority.
And this is where we start laying the breadcrumbs of getting Ronda to be a WWE talent.
Building up that storyline.
Yeah.
Just
So
bring it.
I'm.
And they kind of brought it.
Yeah. Now, would I recommend that anyone rewatch this particular segment? No, because it runs a little bit long. But if you want to cut to the point where The Rock goes to pick out Ronda Rousey from the audience, sure. I think that's like at the maybe the 13th or the 14-minute mark of a video if you happen to find it online.
Okay.
And with that, we move on to match number 5 on the card. The Undertaker is back, and he is going to be facing Bray Wyatt.
But why? Didn't he have his retirement match during the last WrestleMania?
Yeah, you would think so. That one loss that he suffered at WrestleMania 30 to
The streak
Brock
was
Lesnar,
finished.
yeah, it would be the end. But I guess either Vince needed someone else to come back out here, or maybe Undertaker was like, I can go, boss. Let's go ahead. I need the money. Let's go.
Which I'm a fan of The Undertaker. Don't get me wrong. If you've watched us before, if you've listened to us before, you definitely know that I enjoy The Undertaker. I enjoy his wrestling. I'm a fan of Paul Bearer. I enjoy the shtick, the supernatural. Love all of it. His brother, like
Kane.
Kane, I enjoy it. But I'm like, this match to me was a little dull, and I do not recommend that you revisit this. Do you?
No,
Well, also, first of all, rest in peace.
rest in peace to Bray Wyatt.
Yeah.
I believe this moment at where we're filming this or putting this out there live is the marks the 1 year anniversary of the passing of Bray Wyatt.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
rest in peace to
So
him, and our condolences still to his family, who are still suffering the loss.
of him. Yeah, his introduction was pretty awesome. And I was looking forward to seeing them wrestle.
Mhm.
But overall, the match itself was a little lackluster to me. And again, to see The Undertaker out there after he ended his streak, I was kind of surprised. Could I see him like in a short match? Sure. Can I see him pop out like he did at WrestleMania 40? Of course. Like, who doesn't want to see The Undertaker at a WrestleMania? But to me, this match wasn't it. What about you?
Yeah, this match goes for 15 minutes, which is shorter than the match that he had with Brock Lesnar. I believe that match was like 23 minutes.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
This is 15 minutes,
yeah,
12 seconds.
yeah. So, like, The Undertaker starts coming out firing on this particular match. He's trying to grow his hair back, but he looks good. He's good enough to do the old school move.
Mm-hmm.
And like you mentioned when we were watching it, like to see a man of his stature to be able to go up there and walk those ropes, like sure it's like maybe 3 or 4 feet of
Oh
him
yeah.
walking, but it's still amazing to see.
Can he still go? Yes. He's
Yeah.
wrestling.
So like you mentioned, like Undertaker is the master of darkness, and now we have another supernatural type of master of darkness.
Yeah, we have a new
with
face of
Bray
fear.
Wyatt. And I know you mentioned that you do not agree that Brock Lesnar should have been the one to beat him.
No.
And I think when we talked with our friend Raymond last time when we recorded WrestleMania 30,
Yes.
I mentioned that if not Roman Reigns to take out The Undertaker,
It would have been
there
him.
should have been Bray Wyatt as the new master of the supernatural.
And I agree with you.
Yeah. So this is
After watching this match.
Yeah. So we have this whole thing where the Undertaker and like after he Bray Wyatt does the Sister Abigail, the Undertaker and Bray Wyatt are kind of like exhausted, quote
Right.
unquote, and then to prove that he's more of a master of the supernatural, uh, Bray Wyatt does his little spider walk or crab walk,
Yeah.
and then the Undertaker sits up and stares right back at him, and then Bray Wyatt is like, "Oh f's, this is not what I expected," and he starts shrinking
Right.
and collapsing. That was a fun spot here. So eventually, the Undertaker does win after the second tombstone, and like my wife mentioned, she does not recommend that anyone go back and rewatch this one. I also do not recommend that anyone go back and rewatch this match, just mainly because it's like they already have the streak broken. The Undertaker, he does wrestle for what is this 31? I believe he's done it at WrestleMania 37. So he does wrestle for another 6 years at a WrestleMania.
Right.
Like, but this should have been the passing of the torch match.
Yeah.
And
Instead, the dead man notches another WrestleMania victory.
yeah, so this is when I think me and my other friends who were discussing and watching this were like, well, I guess they're gonna rebuild up another streak, and like
Is that what they did or no?
kind of they kind of rebuild the streak. They build up the mythos of the Undertaker because they still needed to give the Undertaker one more loss. And with that, that takes us to our main event. Brock Lesnar facing the winner of the 2015 Royal Rumble, Roman Reigns.
This is a weird match for me, but tell me what you think about it. I'm very
Okay.
curious.
Well, how long does this match go for?
This match goes for a total of 16 minutes and 43 seconds.
Yeah. So we have Brock Lesnar after he beats The Undertaker. He ends up getting, like I mentioned, that victory. He takes the belt away from Daniel Bryan. Then Daniel Bryan ends up getting injured and things like that. So That's how Brock ends up with the belt. But yeah, and now we have the future of the company, Roman Reigns, out there. He's left the Shield. The Shield has broken up because Seth Rollins is now the architect of. No, we can't put those ones up yet. He's still not the founder of the Bloodline. But the Bloodline is in the audience. His father is in the audience. His uncles are in the audience because they're like, Roman Reigns is here for the WWE Championship, and he's gonna win it. We're all coming.
Ooh.
So this match starts off hot. We get them grappling up here, and during one of these, after one of these suplexes that Brock Lesnar gets, Brock Lesnar ends up getting in the corner, and Roman Reigns cuts him. So we have Brock already bleeding from his cheek.
Bleedy cheek.
Yeah, and that just infuriates the Beast Incarnate, and he just starts suplexing them all to hell to the point where people are counting.
Can I call Barack Maverick? I think he was not only UFC wrestling, and he was also a football player.
UFC, yeah, wrestler, yeah, mixed martial
football?
arts. He tried to play football for the Minnesota Vikings, but he got cut.
Oh, okay.
So with this, after Brock has hit like his 8 suplex on him, because Brock Lesnar is the master or the mayor of Suplex City, Roman Reigns starts to mount his comeback.
He is definitely
Brock
more of a
Lesnar,
brawler to me.
yeah, Brock Lesnar ends up getting another F5 on him, and we're like, what, Roman Reigns is getting destroyed. Like we had that whole thing where John Cena was getting destroyed by Rusev or kind of getting beaten down by him. We got the same type of storytelling going on here. And then Roman Reigns starts hitting these Superman punches here. And eventually he gets off another spear on Brock Lesnar. They take it outside. Brock Lesnar ends up trying to charge at Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns moves and he busts himself open. The reason why it's in black and white, in case you're wondering, is because of YouTube. We don't want to show blood, so we can't,
Oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah. So Brock Lesnar is stumbling here. He's on weak legs. Roman Reigns is also tired, but he's trying to mount up that comeback. And who do we get running down the ramp? We get Seth Rollins, and now he is going to be cashing in his Money in the Bank championship opportunity. And this is when it becomes a triple threat match of Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins for the WWE Championship.
You think everybody was shocked?
Everybody was shocked, and everybody was happy because everybody did not want Roman Reigns to win.
Wow.
He felt that he was being pushed down, and he was not ready. He had not earned anything. So
here he is in 2024.
Yeah, and everyone's putting up them ones. And now he's being like welcomed back to come and save the bloodline from Solo Sikoa.
What a trajectory.
Yeah. So Seth seeking the opportunity to cash in his Money in the Bank championship. He stomps Brock Lesnar.
Curb stomp.
Yeah, he curb stomps him.
Curb stomp Roman's title dreams into the match.
Yeah. So then he's like tries to pin him. He kicks out. Roman Reigns is coming to it. And
you forget about Paul Heyman.
Yeah, really. Paul Heyman's somewhere over here, but
Also, shout out to JBL. I see his hat in this picture. So as one of the announcers.
Yep. Seth Rollins is trying to do and get this match done and over with. Eventually Brock comes to and he's gonna give him an F5, but Roman Reigns also comes to and ends up getting him a spear that takes out not only Brock Lesnar, but Roman Reigns too. And they're all kind of trying to regain their consciousness. Brock rolls out of the ring, and that's when Seth Rollins ends up curb stomping Roman Reigns for the 1-2-3, pin in the win, completing the heist of the century as he stole the championship opportunity away from Roman Reigns to become the new WWE champion.
When you sell it to me like this, I'd say revisit this the last few minutes of this where he comes running down. But it's not a revisit for me up until the end. So I think everybody really got excited. Everybody was charged. And Seth Rollins definitely stole the show with his
And
money in the bank.
the match and the title.
And maybe even Paul Heyman's lunch money.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. Definitely love that he was able to use that suitcase to, participate.
Yeah. And I think that's what I liked about, like, we start getting the money in the bank, like 25, 26, when they started putting those in there. Remember, like, we had, like, at the beginning, we had two,
26.
yeah, we started getting two, like, we started getting money into the banks to start off the pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I kind of missed about it, where you had that kind of aura of mystery, because you could always pull off something like this.
Yeah. You're like, this is my, what do you call it when you're playing Monopoly and you have the get out of jail card?
It is my get out of jail free card, and that's something that happened here. Like, people liked Brock Lesnar, but they weren't, like, really, like,
is he still wrestling?
A fan of Brock Lesnar. He's kind of on the outs because he got caught up with the whole Vince scandal.
Oh, I heard.
So, but Brock Lesnar's contract is ending,
okay,
and they don't know if they're gonna re-sign him. So that's one of the reasons why he's losing this belt right here. And then, Roman Reigns is supposed to be the guy that they're gonna be putting in the future, but but he's like getting the John Cena treatment, where it's like nobody wants him, everybody hates him because he's getting shoved down your throat,
right?
And they're like, no. So what a perfect time for, like, them storyline wise to, like, save this match, save this company, give everybody a happy ending to go home with.
What's interesting to me is that both Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns were part of
the Shield.
They were part of the Shield.
Yeah.
So when they first started, and I know people are huge, diehard fans of both, I'm surprised that they are like WWE superstars. If you didn't see that in WrestleMania 40, if you don't know, if you haven't acknowledged the one, but like to see them wrestling back then.
And now, I don't mean to cut you off because I'm so excited that we got to this point.
Right.
That story, that feud goes on, and you see it comes full circle, like at WrestleMania 40.
Right.
Because they put these breadcrumbs, and they, like, this is like super long storytelling.
It is.
Like, if Roman did not have all that hate for Seth Rollins,
right,
he would not have taken the time to actually ignore Cody, give him a spear, and pin him. Instead, he was distracted because Seth was vulnerable and storyline wise, and he ended up hitting him with the chair shot. And then after that, Cody took advantage. Right. So that's like this whole thing where it's like, not only do I recommend people go watch this if you're a newer fan to wrestling, it's like a must watch because of everything that it leads up to our main event and all those breadcrumbs they get for
also,
WrestleMania
we see
40.
Cody wrestling here in a very different outfit.
This is pretty much like where Cody's like nearing his run at the WWE, and then he leaves to go over the Indies and finds the American Nightmare. So
yeah, so it's just interesting because it's like you see them wrestling back at this time, where the fans are just like, oh, okay, but now all three of them are WWE superstars. So for nostalgia's sake, I'd recommend that you visit this WrestleMania. And it's just pretty interesting to see, one, the wrestling gear, two, how they were wrestling, and just to see how far they've come from this WrestleMania to WrestleMania 40.
Yeah. So with that, I think this WrestleMania has been dubbed one of the greatest WrestleMania events so far, from 1 to 31. The only reason why I don't call it like one of the greatest WrestleMania events is because we've seen what the future is, and we get like better matches as we go along. So right now, I would not say that it is. Right now, I think 40 has taken, just because of like the long the long-term storytelling that I
Okay.
just told you about, that it all pays off.
Hmm.
So with this one, maybe at the time it probably would have been a good one, uh, but uh, I still have issues. I only recommended like three matches: the first
Hmm.
match, the ladder match, the Triple H and Sting match, and the and this match.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of surprising. People said that this was the greatest WrestleMania of all time. And if you listening or watching think that it was the greatest WrestleMania of all time, let us know. We're definitely interested in hearing your thoughts. I thought most of these matches were pretty solid, except for just about two of them. And those that I didn't really care for, I'm like, hey, maybe watch the end of it or
Yeah,
revisit so you can see the trajectory of these wrestlers because they're WWE superstars right now in 2024.
yeah.
So until next time,
Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. If you're watching or if you're listening to us, I will be putting the audio back. I'll be putting the audio up on all the major podcast networks: Apple, Spreaker, Spotify, YouTube Music, uh, which would only also not only play this video, but if you want to save your data and want to take us on the road or in your earbuds as you take a light run somewhere, you can just change it to no video and you'll still hear the audio seamlessly.
or if
So
you have a slow walk somewhere,
yeah, so
listen to us. We're delightful.
yeah, thank you once again for joining us. Our next episode, I believe, will be WrestleMania 32,
Yeah.
unless something comes up. And that one, we're looking forward to putting that up for you guys in September 7th.
So until next time, keep the WrestleMania spirit alive, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Revisiting the Mania. Take care and stay tuned for more wrestling nostalgia.
And don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button and
Smash it,
smash it,
smash it,
smash
show
it.
what the kids say.
Yeah, smash it, do whatever, hit it with a chair, just as long as you get the likes and subscribes.
But don't sue us.
Okay,
No, we don't recommend that.
thank you. Have a great